us up in white rooms, names gone, numbers sewn in, steel in the rib cage, fire under the skin. You kissed my wrist goodbye. I learned to stand still at the edge of the morning. We were made to be killed, and they said, hold on, be the wall, be the blade. But I still hear my mother in the wires they lay. Super soldiers break my bones, super soldiers let me go. We were built to hold the line, now we want hear me now. Super soldiers take the crown. If you made me from your fear, I will burn that fear down. Boots on the loading bay, rain on the concrete. We march through the sirens with the news in our teeth. One boy from Glasgow, one girl from the coast. We looked like a war machine, but we missed home the most. And they said, smile, be the face on the screen. But my hands keep shaking for the life in between. Super soldiers break my bones, super soldiers let me go. We were built to hold the line, now we want our own lives. Super soldiers hear me now, super soldiers take the crown. If you made me from your fear, I will burn that fear down. I was your halo of glass, your obedient stone. Now I want a warm hand, a name of my own. Keep your medals, keep your gold. I'm not your machine, I'm a soul in a hole. Super soldiers break my bones, super soldiers let me go. We were built to hold the line, now we want our own lives. Super soldiers hear me now, super soldiers take the crown. If you made me from your fear, I will burn that fear down. Super soldiers, one by one, super soldiers, we are done. We were made in iron sleep, now we wake up free. Burnt out sky, billboards breathing in your name. Queue round the block for another upgraded cage. You trace your veins, scan code on your wristed gloves. You say you're fine, but your eyes refresh too slow. We built these glass empires, broke our backs to touch the wires. Now we're kings of quiet rooms, crowned in static, bought our tombs. And I still call your name through the filtered blue and gray. In these glass empires, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh. Can you hear me? Russian dreams streamed at 20 credits each. Your mother's voice auto-tuned and out of reach. We share a smoke on the stairwell CCTV. You laugh and ask, is this how we're meant to be? We built these glass empires, broke our backs to touch the wires. Now we're kings of quiet rooms, crowned in static, bought our tombs. And I still call your name through the filtered blue and gray. In these glass empires, can you hear me? Can you hear me? You say, pull the plug, but the city's on a single chord. One cut, and the dark comes rushing forward. We feel more real if the signal disappeared. Would you reach for me, or just reach for your fear? We built these glass empires, broke our backs to touch the wires. Now we're kings of quiet rooms, crowned in static, bought our tombs. And I still call your name through the filtered blue and gray. In these glass empires, can you hear me? 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 Barcode on the cradle, cereal on the skin, sleeping in blue liquid, dreams switched off again. Mother made of metal, father's just a file. They print another heartbeat, test it for a smile. We are factory angels, chrome in our veins, programmed to be fearless, terrified of pain. Lift your hands, my brothers, wired to obey. Super soldier lullaby, singing us away. Marching in white corridors, floor cold as their eyes. They call the greatest service, we call it stay alive. They measure every heartbeat, they harvest every tear. Upgrade after upgrade, they override the fear. We are factory angels, chrome in our veins, programmed to be fearless, terrified of pain. Lift your hands, my brothers, wired to obey. Super soldier lullaby, singing us away. If I break rank, will the world end? If I miss my mark, do I start again? Is there any self under all this steel? If they flip that switch, do I still feel? Do I still feel? We are factory angels, falling in chains. Heroes on the posters, numbers on the frames. Lift your hands, my brothers, let them see us shake. Super soldier lullaby starting to awake.
All right. Welcome to Not My Rabbit Hole. And, this is not usually, I used to stream around this time when I first started streaming on Not My Rabbit Hole. I would stream in the evenings, but over the past couple of years or so, I've done it mostly in the afternoon. But tonight I decided to do a stream. I've been really super busy, and that is why I have not been doing any live streams on Not My Rabbit Hole. I am finishing up my finals at Fresno State. I'm working on an MFA in creative nonfiction writing, and this has been my first year in the program, and it looks like it's going really good. I'm probably going to end with a 4.0 again this semester as well, and so I've gotten off to an exciting start, I think, in earning my MFA. Hasn't been a very easy week. I'm really not interested in talking about the drama that is going around. I might later on the show kind of touch upon a little bit of it, but out of all of that drama, somebody posted the video that I'm going to share tonight. Was an old video of Rink that James Rink did 9 years ago. And it was him giving his perspective on the death of Max Spiers. And I remember this video when James Rink uploaded it. And if, by the way, the music that I was playing is from Suno.com. I co-created it with AI. And it's got a Super Soldier theme to it. I'm going to show you something from Super Soldier Talk. James Rink is no longer with us. He did pass away this year. He had a pretty large platform underneath what was coined by Carrie Cassidy as being a super soldier, but it's basically soldiers Well, it goes into like it's come into like there's a whole other mythology to it, but the basic. I'm going to go with what was real about this. There was a sect of the military that started in 1979. By the way, I've rechecked this information again. That's why it's really fresh for me. 1979. And there's a book that was written called The Men Who Stare at Goats, and it was made into a film, and it starred George Clooney and Ewan McGregor, and it's based on a true story, and it's about a group of people, gifted people or gifted minds, as they say, which involves remote viewing and psychic abilities. And, they believe that they can cloak themselves and make themselves be invisible or go through walls. I'm telling you, it's for some people, it might sound really out there, but there was a sect or an aspect of the military with this. Oh, also Jeff Bridges is in the film. He plays the general or the main guy. That's I don't know how the military works, but so out of this came a whole online thing that sprouted up through Carrie Cassidy, Miles Johnston. There were Super Soldier Summits, and James Rink was part of this. And how I intersect with this is because I was a host on Revolution Radio, and I interviewed some of these guys, and a lot of, I believe maybe James Rink was on Revolution Radio. I can't really remember, but I know that he was a guest, and Max was interviewed often. Taj and Sarah Rachel Adams had a show. And anyway, so during this time, I'm gonna get this video here. By the way, I just want to let you guys know that I have some products attached to this. They're kind of different. Maybe I'm gonna okay, I just heard myself. But I wanted to look at them while I'm talking about them. I do make a commission from this. I'm in the YouTube partnership program, but I decided to put some ramen. I was doing Nike shoes, but apparently these are trending. I thought, what? Maybe you guys might want to get some ramen and Oreo cookies. And if you do order through my my tags here, Not My Rabbit Hole will get a commission. And also we are accepting super chats and super thanks on Not My Rabbit Hole. And Not My Rabbit Hole does need funding, and we are monetized. So if you're not able to, or you hate me, you don't want to give me a super chat, please do like and share or hype this video if you find any value in it. But I did add some ramen here on it. It's all a little bit of an experiment for me. So and who doesn't like Oreo cookies, right? I mean, who doesn't like Oreo cookies? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add the James Rink video here. Let me just pull this up. Where am I at here? And when this came out, now when James Rink did this video, I'm going to do a screen share here. When James Rink did this video, he did it during the time, you can kind of see, I've been looking at some Grim Grit. I love watching. Here it is right here. It's got a picture of Max, Sarah, I think it's Haley Meyer, and Eva Moore. I'm going to click onto it. As you can see, wow, it's right there. This is where that frame pops up. This was, I believe, maybe this was the one of the Super Soldier Summits back then. All right. And, he ended up making this video. At the time, Max had passed away, and they were still doing the autopsy on him. So he made this video before the autopsy was final. And at that time, I might have been on Revolution Radio and American Freedom Radio. Yeah, I believe I was, or I was at least on American Freedom Radio. And I really objected to this video because of the fact that the autopsy hadn't come back. I'm not going to do it tonight because I don't want to go in that much detail, but I might pull it out again. But I have some coverage. I have a video here on Not My Rabbit Hole where I am doing commentary on Carrie Cassidy and Miles Johnston's first show after Max died. It was it had just happened. And there was a lot of conversation that went on about, I guess, like herbal medication or some sort of like supplements that were given to him that apparently Sarah said was offered by Stuart Swerdlow's wife. And that was just something that was said. There's been no follow-up on that. But apparently Sarah had expressed being upset about Max possibly being given these supplements. I don't think that ever really happened. Now we find out that Monica had taken Max to Cyprus, where she purchased the Turkish form of Xanax there. And Max was an addict. I think he had been in rehab before. And so there was issues. The autopsy report did come out that he did have Xanax in his body, and he had I don't know, there was something else that was a drug in his body, and then he had pneumonia. And so the reason for his death could have been all of the above that caused it. It wasn't really it wasn't considered that he actually OD'd. It was more like these are the things that were going on with him, and any one of these things could have taken his life, is how the autopsy really reads. And I have done shows about that. But at this time, during the Carrie Cassidy interview, Miles said, oh no, he was clean and sober. There were no drugs involved. That was the first statements that were made on the follow-up. And one of the people that gave testimony to that was Sandra DeRoy, because Sandra DeRoy was pulled into the conversation. And she said that if she had talked to Max maybe like 7 days or within a few days of his death, and she said that he said that he was not being involved with toxic people, which Sarah was put into that conversation, according to Sandra, and that he was clean and sober. But here, James Rink, pretty much before the autopsy comes out, pretty much gives his perspective that he probably did OD. And the problem that I had with him doing this was that I felt that he was telegraphing the narrative of what might be before there was an actual autopsy. And that bothered me because I felt, and I still do feel, that the mainstream media does this. Media does this in general, where they will telegraph the narrative of something, or they will frame an issue with a certain opinion or a bias. And I felt that I didn't understand why James was coming forward and doing something like this in order to already. It's called, like, if you're doing an argument, I don't know, I forgot what it was called in like debate, but it's called like an injection. You're injecting, like, let's say you're injecting your viewpoint before the other person gets to have their viewpoint, so that you've already colored that other information coming in. And I felt that this was kind of what James Rink had done at that time. So right here it says, listen as James Rink shares a tribute of the life of Max Spiers and an outline of why Max Spiers probably self-destructed and murdered for speaking his truth. Included in his interview is rare footage clips of both Max Spiers and James Casbolt during the Super Soldier conferences, which is going to be all really very interesting, right? So let's go look back at what we considered Super Soldier history. All right, so I'm going to do a fair use banner here. And go ahead and play this. Oh yeah, I don't really want to play his music right now. So we'll start right here. And it's crazy to think that this is only 9 years ago.
Here, welcome to another edition of Super Soldier Talk. Today I have a special show in line. I want to share some information about, or I want to give a tribute to Max Spiers. And I'm going to share my story of how I knew Max and what we did together back in 2011 and how sort of things came to where it is today. I do want to mention that I haven't been friends with Max since really about 2012, sort of kind of split paths, but I'm going to share my, at least from my perspective, what I believe sort of was taking place. Originally, when I first reached out to Max, it was actually, I found out about him through James Casbolt. He posted a list of other experiencers in, or other super soldiers. And when I contacted Max, I actually had an unusual experience that happened to me. I recalled a memory of him and another individual. And it was, should I even say this? It was a sex orgy.
Okay, now let's just start here for a minute, right? It's kind of an interesting face that it stops on, right? I what? A sex orgy? Okay, so that's kind of jolting, right? I had a memory of being in a sex orgy. Oh, okay.
I saw 3 people in this orgy, of course, myself, Max, and there was this other girl.
I'm just wondering, is this a fantasy or is this really happen? Again, that's also an interesting look right there too as well. It feels like when he came out and said it's like, oh, it's a repressed memory. I don't know. Like what? Some elite party going on. It's I guess like part of being a super soldier is being a sex asset, I suppose. I mean, yeah, I could see that actually, but
Grays were little grays, the shorter ones.
And the grays were in there. So let's go back a little bit. So he's talking about an orgy that's involving the gray aliens. Guys, I know you. A lot of you are like, "Oh, James Rink, he's my hero." Don't rock the boat here. But this is the way I'm drawn. All right, I'm a comedian. I have to look at things. I pick it apart. I am, I am a believer about the fact that there's, life on other planets, and some aspect of psychic and what you would consider paranormal abilities, MK Ultra. However, I think those things exist, but I am very leery of of really a lot of the things that James Rink has presented. I find a lot of his stuff to not really hold up for me. Orgy with the gray aliens. All right, here we go.
Little grays, the shorter ones.
Okay, a little bit farther back.
It was a sex orgy. I saw 3 people in this orgy. Of course, myself, Max, and there was this other girl. The grays.
What other girl? Somebody say, oh, and this other girl. Okay, and some grays.
These were little grays, the shorter ones. It almost looked like a medical.
And you guys want to judge me for doing dwarf porn? Okay, I mean, come on.
Table,
I mean, this kind of sounds like dwarf porn a little bit.
Exam table.
And by the way, I didn't do dwarf porn. I mean, not me. It wasn't really dwarf porn.
Everything seemed to be white around us. Maybe that was my subconscious mind interpreting the memories were sort of whited out. But I did get the impression that it was in a sea base. I did reach out to I know that the female individual who was in this orgy, and I can say Max knows who this person is, but I'm not going to name names because I don't want to go through that again because it created a huge controversy. But the point is, I told Max about this, and we wanted to do something about this situation where here we have MyLabs or MK Ultra victims recalling these kind of memories. I suspect these were actually clones. That's my impression, is that it wasn't us in our physical vessels doing this. It was clones of us, and maybe they had a piece of our consciousness in there, or maybe that's how it happens by default.
Okay, so I don't believe any of this, to be honest with you. This is just, I don't believe it. Sorry, but I don't.
But Max and I wanted to do something about this. We were tired of having all these memories and no one believing us.
It's kind of interesting. Like, he's in the era where you have the button up dress shirt here, that, you know, that the no collar kind of thing. That was kind of a look, I get, you know, like 9 years ago. And then the backwards hat. Okay, I'll stop. This might be like is this his house? I guess it could also be a sweet hotel, but it's probably his house, or maybe he's staying there.
And on top of that, we couldn't really get any help because you can't go to a psychologist.
One of the sorry, I keep interrupting. One of the problems that I have with James Rink is, to me, he just seems kind of small. There's a part where he says there was another clone of him that was 5'11", and I'm thinking, wow, I mean, that's, how tall are you really? I mean, like, I would think that if I was gonna, or he shapeshifts into 5'11" or something like that. I go, well, I would maybe want to shapeshift to like 6 foot or 6'2". I mean, hell, why not 6'5"? I mean, if you're gonna do it. 5'11" is still kind of a smaller man, really. I'm sorry if you are 5'11". I mean, you might be 5'11", but 6 foot is, never mind.
Psychiatry or psychologist and share these kind of experiences. I mean, well, I guess you can, but they're probably not going to believe you. And so Max and I did a meditation together at the time when I first started off with the Neo meditation devices. And
no,
that's basically what it looks like.
Okay, yeah. Here's why I also go no. It's like, it's one of those things, like, here's my cube with like a triangle and a circle and another circle, and I'm going to sell it to you and call it a meditation cube. This is my super soldier marketing. And if you follow James Rink, I mean, up until the very end of his life, he was constantly selling some sort of product that had to do with some sort of thing, like your meditation cube or protection or healing device or biometric, whatever. He was always had something like this. See, this is the part where I'm saying, no, this is a grift, guys. This is what I think.
But we wanted to edit the timeline so that this super soldier phenomenon would come out in a more mainstream way.
I don't think you need a cube. Guys, you don't need a cube to meditate. You don't. And you don't need a cube to pray either. You do not need anything to be connected to God, or if you want to call God prime creator or the universe or whatever. You don't need it. You don't need a cube to meditate.
So I flew out to LA where Max was staying at the time. The goal is that I was going to do Max's first interview ever in exchange for purchasing a ticket to Awaken Aware, and also took care of the hotel costs and so on. Awaken Aware is a Project Camelot conference in Irvine, California. At least that's when it was in 2011.
Look how young Sean David Morton is there. And skinny.
And so at the Awaken Aware conference, of course, I mean, we met, Carrie Cassie was there, and Duncan O'Finian.
Duncan O'Finian Duncan.
Also, Aaron McCullen was there.
Aaron McCullen, that's the guy that, is, I believe it's dolphins that he is been hybrided with.
We're able to network, but ultimately at the end of the event, the conference, I met up with Lorian Fenton, and I think.
Oh, and Lorian Fenton was major, like she was like really connected with Revolution Radio. Like she was she was the marketing branding person. Didn't really care for her, but okay, so we'll go on.
Yeah, what actually happened is that she was selling she had some table in the back.
Oh, say it isn't so. She was selling something. Of course. Everybody's selling something at these events, right?
And she was promoting her products.
Was it a cube? What was it? A stick with a crystal on the end?
Conferences, actually. I think it was specifically. And I suggested to Lorian nonchalantly, oh, by the way, we're super soldiers. And of course, I don't really come across looking like a super soldier. And I guess.
No, you don't, actually, James. You don't really. You don't. Sorry.
Max is me.
Not my ideal, really.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe a little bit more so for Max, but
yeah, like Max and James look like they could have been in that category, like some sort, like especially James.
But Lorian was highly interested to learn more.
And Duncan as well. Large, big people.
And some people, when you say that to people, they're like, they just shut down, or they don't believe you, or they don't care, or they just don't want to know. But Lorian wanted to learn more, and so we opened up, and we found out that Lorian was putting on a Super Soldier Summit.
You just found out, okay? Yeah. How does somebody want to learn more when they're already putting together a summit?
Well, Lisa was planning to in Marin County, which is just north of San Francisco.
Marin, yeah, that's the area that Marin County. It's a rich area, actually, of near San Francisco, and that is where Captain Mark Richards, organized the kind of Manson influencing killing of one of his friends that he went to prison for, where Carrie Cassidy was going to the prison talking about how he's involved with like secret space program and aliens, right? Yeah, that's that area.
She was planning on doing that within the next 6 months or 8 months or so, next June in 2012. So
2012, wow.
Anyway, after the summit,
we're at this is definitely 2000. 16, because Max is passed.
I'm sorry, after the Awake and Aware conference, I feel like we got what we needed out of that. And then I was prepared to do an interview with Max. And my last day in LA, Max invited one of his buddies over because I was actually staying in his apartment, or really it was more like a studio apartment at the time. And they went to smoke something in the bathroom. And I don't know what it was, but I mean, I've seen people that are high on THC, and this stuff was a lot harder than that. So out of respect of Max, there was no way that I was going to put him on camera looking like that.
But that's interesting, because you're going to find out later on this video that he does put him on camera looking like that. Like, he does film him, or he does get footage. Somebody filmed him in an intoxicated state, and then he's going to show that in this video. We're going to get to it.
And you know, I mean, I spent quite a bit of what little bit of money I had. I mean, my car is breaking down and so on and so on in my life, and I spent what little bit of money I have trying to do this. And then at the end of the day, I wasn't able to get an interview out of Max, and you know, it would have been his first interview ever, but I guess it wasn't meant to be. But fast forward to 2012 in June.
Okay, so what it sounds like, yeah, he was wanting to interview him at that time. He was high. Okay, got it.
I think it was, or May. We were on stage at the first Super Soldier Summit. So there was some controversy, but I don't want to go into that. However, what I will say is that one of the listeners of Super Soldier Talk contacted me and said he lived in the area where this conference was going to be, and offered up a room in his house for me to stay in for, I guess I was going to come in about 2 days prior to the summit, so I wouldn't have to pay for a hotel. And I politely asked this individual if they would be willing to open up their house to Max Spiers and Tyler Clark, who were also presenters at the Super Soldier Summit in 2012. And they agreed. So when we got to the house, it turns out that Max, because this guy was on painkillers, and Max stole a bottle of his painkillers. I'm not sure what painkillers they were. I don't recall.
So here, okay, he's showing drugs. Now he's saying, like in this testimony, he's saying, I'm just pointing out things that are inconsistent here, right? He's showing a picture of drugs, but this isn't the drugs that Max apparently used, because he says he doesn't know what it is, but he's going to flash this picture a couple times, and as if it was the drugs that he was taking, and that's misrepresentation. I mean, that's inserted in there to make you see it, to make you think that that's some sort of evidence when it's not. All right, so let's go back a little bit more here. Let's go back to here.
It turns out that Max, because this guy was on painkillers, and Max stole a bottle of his painkillers. I'm not sure what painkillers they were. I don't recall. So
the guy said that he stole the bottle of painkillers. Go back one more time. Doesn't know what they were. So this is like basically hearsay, though. Still, really, this is a testimony that he's giving you. We are not hearing it from the guy. This is a third party testimony. He's not saying who the guy is, or maybe he did say it, but
I was on painkillers, and Max stole a bottle of his painkillers. I'm not sure what painkillers they were. I don't recall, but I'm sure it was some pretty strong stuff. So during the summit, he became extremely manic. And then after the summit was over, he crashed.
It's unusual for somebody to become manic on painkillers. Those are usually downers. So that's kind of a weird description.
It was that point that we started becoming extremely concerned. At that time, I was still friends with Sarah Adams, and I was networking with her because she has a lot of information on how to detox, try to figure out what we
So
could.
here's the footage of Max being high. So earlier, James said he would never film anybody like that, but he's okay with putting footage in here now. Who took this footage? Who took this footage? Whose hand is that right there touching him? Like, what's going on here?
Do to help Max out so he doesn't die. But ultimately, it was so bad we had to take him to the ER, and well, I didn't go with him to the ER. I stayed in the house, but the doctor called and asked me to go into his bag to figure out what kind of drugs he was on. So I went in there, found the the prescription bottle. I think it might have been Vicodin or some derivative thereof. But
you see what he's saying now? He says he didn't know what it was, but he went in there and he saw it. This is all over the place. Go back. All right, go back. Okay, I'm going to shut up here for a second. I promise.
his painkillers. I'm not sure what painkillers he need. So when we got to the house, it turns out that Max, because this guy was on painkillers, and Max stole a bottle of his painkillers. I'm not sure what painkillers they were. I don't recall, but I'm sure it was some pretty strong stuff.
Okay, so you heard that. It was some painkillers. I'm not sure what I can't recall.
I was on painkillers, and Max stole a bottle of his painkillers. I'm not sure what painkillers they were. I don't recall, but I'm sure it was some pretty strong stuff. So during the summit, he became extremely manic. And then after the summit was over, he crashed. And it was at that point that we started becoming extremely concerned. At that time, I was still friends with Sarah Adams, and I was networking with her because she has a lot of information on how to detox, try to figure out what we could do to help Max out so he doesn't die. But ultimately, it was so bad we had to take him to the ER, and well, I didn't go with him to the ER. I stayed in the house, but the doctor called and asked me to go into his bag to figure out what kind of drugs he was on. So I went in there, found the the prescription bottle. I think it might have been Vicodin or some derivative thereof. But at that point, they pumped his stomach and they released him the next day. And Max was brought back because we were all staying at this mansion over there in Marion County.
Okay, so he did go and find a bottle. He just can't remember what it is to tell you what it was that exactly what he took. But we are to believe that really happened based on that footage that he showed. And the testimony. I'm wondering if there is anybody else who was. Well, I mean, I guess Sarah would know, right? I mean, I don't want to ask her because she's been lying a lot lately. But I'm wondering because Haley's in the picture. Is that from the San Francisco thing? Like maybe Vanessa would know whether or not he was admitted during that time. But there's got to be some other people that were there that could maybe corroborate this, really.
And the guest, that is, of the Super Soda Summit, the guest speakers. And Max, first thing he did is he came up to me and he started yelling and screaming at me, angry that I would go into his backpack to figure out what kind of drugs he was on. So I grabbed all my bags and luggage and skedaddled out of there. I had to
Skedaddled. Haven't heard that term in a while.
Been I think it was I had to spend about $150 to get a hotel until per night. till my flight out. So I never really got to say goodbye. You know, I guess that's the kind of thanks you get for saving somebody's life. And then at that point is really what I think.
So it's kind of like he's sort of dissing him right now. He's kind of dissing him right now. And this was pretty recent after he passed away. It was like right in where a lot of us were wanting to know what had happened. We were waiting for the autopsy report. We were under the impression because Miles Johnston had said there were these testimonies that he was clean and sober, and that he was, working on being clean and sober. And I'm thinking, well, why didn't any of this information, like if he had some sort of drug problem, he was at a summit, why didn't any of this stuff come out any earlier? I guess maybe they didn't want to, or they wanted to keep it private or something like that. I can understand that. But it just seems like, I don't know, it seems insensitive to me at this point that he would be going into these arenas of their argument and their conflict and, well, I guess he didn't really appreciate it that I saved his life kind of attitude. I never really liked this, and watching it as like going through it tonight and really picking it apart a second time, I still don't like it. I
think I stopped being friends with Max. I guess I kind of just had.
I stopped being friends with him when, like, we're talking a San Francisco summit. There was a lot of shows and things that both of these guys did after that, where did they never really get along after this point? I felt like there was, I mean, is this, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out the timeline here of the shows that and the different forums that they were on. Awake and Aware stuff, conferences, speaking conferences. Oh, here goes my cat.
Enough of it. It's only so many times you can help save somebody, and if they just continually fight you on it or abuse themselves, there's not much you can do about it. So then in fast forward to 2013 at the Super Soldier Summit, there, of course, Carrie Cassidy interviewed Max Spiers and James Casbolt, and I was in the interview, but I was behind the Spiers and James Casbolt.
It feels like this is after that. Here, let's go.
Continually fight you on it or abuse themselves, there's not much you can do about it. So then in fast forward to 2013 at the Super Soldier Summit.
Okay, so this is after the incident. Okay, interesting. So this is what he's talking about right now is that big that interview between Carrie Cassidy and James Casbolt that went viral. That big interview. This is the big summit where the whole incident happened and everything that everybody talks about. This is the Henderson, Nevada. I think Miles interviewed Sarah, and this is kind of like where they all became like super soldier rock stars. Stephen D. Kelly was there. I wasn't there. I wasn't part of Revolution Radio yet. I didn't join until 2014, a year after this summit. So, yeah.
There, of course, Carrie Cassidy interviewed Max Spiers and James Casbolt, and I was in the interview, but I was behind the camera. Now,
so he was behind the camera, and I remember that because I've gone through this recently again and done commentary on it because I found it somewhere. And so James was actually filming this, which I find interesting that he's in the mix with this. He was helping Carrie out.
I would have had an interview with Carrie Cassidy at the time, or Miles Johnson, but I had my own show, and so I never really got in that network. You know, ultimately, Max did what he needed to do. Of course, you know, with the Basis series and so on, he went over to Europe. He hooked up with Sarah Adams. I guess I can claim some responsibility for bringing them together as matchmaker. But things sort of started falling apart after that. Max was going around telling people how he was high vibration, I was low vibration, and it just got to the point where I never got an apology. He never said sorry. He never owed up for his drug usage, and then when I found out he died recently, I was actually not surprised. His drug usage was indicative of someone who was extremely damaged in many, many degrees. I mean, people who use drugs do so as a form of escape because this reality they live in is so painful that they can't deal with it, the trauma. But also, Max wasn't really doing these.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to take a break here for a minute. Okay, so this is I found this to be so interesting back 9 years ago, because this was before the autopsy report, and a lot of people, I wasn't really aware of you know, Max's drug use like this. Apparently, he did witness it. I find it interesting that there's footage that came out that he's showing. I'm wondering who took that footage. Was it him, or who did it, or who was holding on to it? Also, you think about that. Somebody has footage of somebody in a certain state, and they hold on to it for a certain reason, and they're going to let it come out. Like in a situation like this, he's releasing it before the autopsy report. And oh, my cat wants to get into my roommate's room. He always does this. No, come in here. No, it's not open to us tonight. It's not open. No, baby. Maybe might have to give him a little temptation. He's you know, a cat wants to go into every single room in the house, and I don't blame him. I'd want to check out every room too. If I were a cat, I would jump all over the place. I'd go on the balcony. I would inspect every single corner if I were a cat, because you know, that's what cats do. As a human, it would be really strange for me to do something like that. So maybe we're doing that with this, you know, this video I'm watching right now, or analyzing for, but I don't know how many people. Oh, 5 people. Okay, welcome. Welcome to the show. I think I might just take a really quick break before. It's good to take a break. Let me check on my kitty. What? And I'm gonna play a little song, and I hope you guys are having a good Saturday night. Well, I said song, and people go, "Oh, I'm out of here, man." I'm like, okay, let me play something here. We'll get back to more James Rink in just a second.
Barcode in the cradle, name typed on the screen. Mother signs the papers, father of me remembers, half of me just ran. We are half-made humans, wired into someone's dream. Stitched up saints and lab-born heathens, breaking out between the seams. If I'm less than human, why do I feel this much? All these borrowed pieces, still starving for a touch. Classroom on a hard drive, history on mute. Teachers just faces, can't reading off the truth. They test our hearts for errors, they test our eyes for fear. I flinch before the needle, they upgrade my tears. We are half-made humans, wired into someone's dream. Stitched up saints and lab-born heathens, breaking out between the seams. If I'm less than human, why do I feel this much? All these borrowed pieces, still starving for a touch. Tell me, did you sign for this, or were you signed away? Did they graft your hunger to keep their world in place? I hear you in the network, ghosts in every code. Your heartbeat in the error log, your name and overload. We are half-made humans, wired into someone's dream. Stitched up saints and lab-born heathens, breaking out between the seams. If I'm less than human, why do I feel this much? All these borrowed pieces, still starving for a touch. We are half-made humans, but I choose my final cut.
Okay, so this song, right, is the songs I played tonight from Suno. When I was doing with AI, these songs, you know, they're kind of super soldierish. I just kind of put like words and genre, and I didn't really like actually write the lyrics out. I kind of put in like, I let AI know what I wanted it to write, basically. So AI kind of put these combination of words and the genre and everything like that. Now, this one here, I actually wrote these lyrics. And so I want to play it.
Extraterrestrial hybridized DNA, don't need to worry about tooth decay. Kevin Spacey and his clone are feeling alone. Men who stare at goats, civil society road. Super Soldier Sunday, just another fun day. 75 years on Mars, lying about the stars. Captain Richard charms like Charles Manson's gun. Lions in the sun. Lions in the sun. Montauk's in the sun. Montauk, super soldier talk, super space program. Let's jam. Montauk, super soldier talk, super space program. Let's jam.
Yeah, I kind of did that one this past summer because I've just been playing with this since about, I guess I've been playing this for almost a year now. So this is like some of the first things I tried out on Suno. And then I did this one.
Indigenous insectoids weaving you the void, drought in your brain, making you insane. Wrapping up Benjamin Fulford, living the absurd like a blue avian nerd, keeping the lines blurred. Captain Mark Richards, a secret space program grifter, getting married while in prison, making you listen, create a new religion, doing the reptilian, making you forget my sins. Super soldier ducks in prison, Nord again, Draco, shape shifting in my Winnebago. Indigenous insectoids weaving you the void, drown in your brain, making you insane. Wrapping the Benjamin forward, living the absurd like a blue aviator, keeping the lines moving like Benjamin forward, living the absurd like a blue aviator, keeping the lines blurred. Rapping like Benjamin Fulford. Word.
All right. I don't know. I'm having fun tonight. I really am. Hi, Captain Apu. Hi, Sherry. Nice to see you tonight. Thanks for popping by and saying hi. And oh, you were sleeping the other night. Captain Apu says I was sleeping the other night. Yeah, I left you a message, because you called me and I didn't pick up because I had to finish that essay. I hope you forgive me, Captain Apu, Geo. I had to finish that essay that I was working on for one of my final projects for my class that I've been taking. So yeah, I mean it's been a kind of an intense week for me in terms of my studies, but again I'm kind of grateful for them because there was so much chaos going on and so many things being said about me that were just so negative, and about a lot of other people too. I can't say it's just all about me, but that I literally had to force myself to tune it out in order to get this project done and my other classes done and everything else that's going on. And I think it kind of helped, actually. I could not allow myself to just go nuts over it because I had to keep myself together to keep my focus on the trajectory of what I needed to take care of in my own life. But I will say this, the stuff that happened was absolutely over the top and unnecessary, and it certainly didn't make life easy. I can't say that I went, oh, nothing bothered me. I didn't have any anxiety. I didn't have any issues. I didn't scream in my apartment. when nobody was here, just to like, go, ah, I didn't do any of that, right? I didn't. So, but I think I personally, I'm going to give myself a pat on the back. I think I did pretty good with all of it, to be honest with you. I think anybody else who was not as strong of a human being as I am would have freaking lost their cookies. And I didn't. I pretty much kind of kept it together, and let's give everybody who kept it together, everybody who made it through the week, everybody who wasn't perfect in every moment in their life, even when they were dealing with whatever were dealing with, give yourself a round of applause. Now, it's important to give yourself a little grace. Give yourself a little grace, because you know what? Nobody is perfect. But love and forgiveness go a long way, right? Okay, but not for certain people. I'm sorry, whatever. All right, so let us go back to a little bit more James Rink. If you're not familiar, Sherry's here, Captain Apu's here. James Rink is actually no longer with us. All right, he did pass away this year. He is very much part of the super soldier stuff, but we're talking about Max Spiers, and in a sense, Captain Apu and Sherry, I know you know Max Spiers because David Schurter's talked a lot about Max Spiers. David Schurter has grifted a lot about Max Spiers, and this is a video that James did in between the time that Max died and people were waiting to find out what caused his death, what the autopsy report would be. And he decides he's coming out saying that Max was a drug addict and has showed footage of Max under the influence. I don't know who took the footage, but this is his response. And so this happened 9 years ago, and I'm just wanting to, this video popped up for me this week in all this chaos. Somebody posted this on Facebook, a new Facebook friend who's in the UFO stuff. Oh, by the way, let me announce this before I go on here. Carmen Joy. Y'all know who Carmen Joy is? Maybe you don't, but Carmen Joy, we saw some footage here of James Casbolt. Maybe we should go back a little bit. Okay, here's James and Max here. James Casbolt was in a relationship with a woman named Carmen Joy, and Carmen, before he went into prison, and there was all this, he went into prison because he basically blackmailed his wife. And I don't want to go all into that person because I don't want to bring all of this up, but he went to court for revenge porn. He used revenge porn online about her, and I guess some other stuff happened. He went to prison. But in that, Sarah had said some things about Carmen bringing in a pedophile situation. And Sarah got involved in Carmen's life and called her husband and said these things, and they already had a conflict, and so she did lose custody of her daughter. And Sarah, I guess I am going to bring it up right now. Here's what happened. A lot of you guys probably already know, if you're following Thomas Schellenberger and the things that he's posting, and the things that David Schurter's posting on his blog, and all this kind of stuff. Sarah has been very vocal. She went on a show. The woman's name is Coley Weber. It's SNX Radio, I believe, and she has a YouTube channel. Actually, Blazing Scar has done commentary on the video that this lady did. But Sarah went on the show and accused a lot of people. She went off on Stephen Cambion. She went off on me. There's a big campaign to blame Stephen and I for David Wilcox's demise. and now there's Isaac Cappy in there with it. And by the way, just for the record, for everybody out there, I never knew David Wilcock, and I never knew Isaac Cappy, and I'm pretty sure neither one of them were aware of me. My videos, I have rarely talked about David Wilcock on Not My Rabbit Hole. He has come up in conversations. My opinion about the Blue Avians, the song that I played, you can see I'm talking about the Blue Avians. I say David Wilcock lost me at Blue Avian. All right. The Corey Good thing, the Blue Avian thing, Jay Wiedner from Gaia TV has been posting things about how David Wilcock slid into a decline with his association with Corey Good. But for some reason, Sarah and Thomas Schoenberger, right? And, she's wanting to really demonize me and Stephen Cambion from Truth Seekers because both of us covered the body cam footage of the Steve Harvey's, son and daughter-in-law incident with the mushrooms. And I have also covered, me personally, I did commentary on the police investigation videos. And, we had, both of us, if you look at it, we were looking at things that were tangible, like real body cam footage, real police investigation footage, which is available for the public to have. And we were, both of us have, and it's perfectly okay to say that we feel, or I think for whatever reason, that Sarah is a dishonest grifter on the internet and show receipts for that. And what we were covering is about a situation where she did do a ritual. There were synthetic mushrooms involved with it. And there was, Sarah and one of the client had to be intubated. They had medical issues. It was not a brain injury. It was not a heart attack, as Sarah had said on, Coley Weber's show. But there were things that happened. And so if we're in a community right now, right? I mean, this is kind of like a community. We're talking about the UFOlogy, this is the super soldier folklore here, the super soldier reality. I can't say it's all folklore. I have been interested in this topic, what part of this is true or real. In the things that they said, the things that James Casbolt said in this interview that Carrie Cassidy did, that James Rink was there filming it. Okay, I'm kind of like dwindling here, but Carmen Joy suffered a lot of things from things that Sarah has said about her. And Carmen Joy has been included in a lot of Sarah's posts. Whenever she goes off on somebody on Meta or whatever, it's several people. All right, it's me, it's Stephen, it's Carmen Joy, it's a lady named Carissa Renteria. There is Tahinder Gill, Taj, her ex-business partner, and then there is the person who used to be married to James Casbolt. Okay. She has gone and she's gone on this Coley Weber show, and she's like making up all this stuff about Stephen Cammy and I being guilty for, David Wilcock's death. This Coley Weber lady is, sharing something on Facebook about where people can report all of the big bad cyber bullies against David Wilcock here to all these police departments. And, I've talked about David Wilcock over the last, couple weeks or so like that, but you don't see me. There's no content about David Wilcock. He never knew me. I was on a show one time with Stephen Cambion, which Thomas Schoenberger has found on the internet somewhere and then built this mythology around it, like I'm responsible for this. And apparently, Titus Frost interviewed Brian Sang and Sarah Adams about this or whatever. And so Carmen Joy is going to come on my show and talk about how she was never convicted of pedophilia in court anytime or anything like that. And one of the things that Sarah has said is that apparently Stephen Cambion and Carmen Joy are really good friends, and she is a child. She's done pedophilia. It's a total lie. It didn't happen. All right. Stephen Cambion, like, I think was friends with her on Facebook. They had hardly any communication between each other. He has a show. She's watched it. Maybe she was in the chat sometime, but all this stuff is just really getting blown out of proportion in a way that is really starting to harm people. And by the way, let me add this in there too, because I wasn't going to talk about Sarah tonight, but I guess it's a perfect time to do it. Sarah went on LinkedIn. Okay. LinkedIn, she went on LinkedIn and she found the president of the university that I attend and made a comment on one of his posts about an event that happened on the campus. It has nothing to do with any of this, and accused me of murder and all this kind of stuff. It says, you have a girl there, blah, 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 saying my full legal name. She found the honorous, the dean in the mass communications department and did the same thing. And another, forum. So now Titus Frost and every reason and they're calling me the bully, the liar, when she's using a profile that she has no other content on other than her picture. And she's running around and using it like a sock puppet account to spread malicious lies about me to harm my standing in the university that I'm attending. And she made a post that Gabe Hoffman was paying me, at which Gabe Hoffman came out on Twitter or X and said, I've never paid Terry Joyce or Stephen Cambion, because she said he was paying Stephen Cambion as well. And he asked Sarah to show evidence that actually really happened, and she still hasn't shown it. And then today she went back on Coley Weber's show again. So, I've been talking to Carmen, and Carmen's been showing me her, record, her background check, what's on her record. I mean, Carmen has not lived, she's had her own substance issues and things like this in her life. And she's been very transparent about her life on Facebook, and we have watched her transformation happen. She's gotten involved in healthy eating underneath the tutelage of a guy named, I think his name is Master Leakey, and she's looks fantastic. And she's going to be on my show. She's going to be on the show. She's going to give her side of the story and, show that she's not a convicted pedophile. She didn't lose her daughter, because of that. I mean, maybe Sarah's rumors of that didn't help, but she has nothing on her record. And Sarah has made a public statement saying that she is, and that incriminates somehow Stephen Cambion. So I'm going to leave it at that. She's going to be on my show next Saturday at 12 p.m. So be there or be square. All right, let's continue.
Of course, with the Basis series and so on, he went over to Europe. He hooked up with Sarah Adams. I guess I can claim some responsibility for bringing them together as matchmaker. But things sort of started falling apart after that. Max was going around telling people how he was high vibration.
Hey, Telly, how's it going? I was wondering if you're going to show up or not tonight.
I was low vibration, and it just got to the point where I never got an apology. He never said sorry. He never he never owed up for his drug usage. And then when I found out he died recently, I was actually not surprised. His drug usage was indicative of someone who was extremely damaged in many, many degrees. I mean, people who use drugs do so as a form of escape because this reality they live in is so painful that they can't deal with it, the trauma. But also, Max wasn't really doing the spiritual work to help himself. That is, taking responsibility for his own drug use problem. There were always people out there to help him out, to save him, and he wasn't going out and trying to save himself. So in the end of the day, he basically passed. And so I did want,
again, for those of you guys who've shown up late, this is a testimony that James Rink, who's also no longer with us, he passed away this year, 9 years ago, made this testimony, or gave his perspective on what he thought that happened to Max when he died in Poland. And he's saying all these things before they have done an autopsy of why he died. So yeah. And I just find it interesting. And the reason why, because I was around at this time, all right, I had a show, and I had already spoken about this before back then, that it bothered me that he did this before the autopsy. And, after discussions of him being clean and sober, and people saying that he was sober when he was there. So my problem was, just like in the mainstream media, or like we learn if you become educated about media, a lot of people will frame things. What's happening, Pumpkin? What's going on? What's going on? What's happening? So, when people frame things to make it look like stuff, they're biased or whatever, right? Okay, so they all, okay, let me go back, all right? Hang with me for a second. When he passed, the first shows that came out were that he was clean and sober and something strange happened and all this kind of stuff, and that we would be waiting for the autopsy. And Miles Johnston made an announcement. I have a video, actually. I don't want to be streaming too late tonight, but I have a video here in Not My Rabbit Hole that I uploaded from my other stuff when I was on Revolution Radio, of Miles Johnston saying, we're going to have the autopsy, and we're going to find out that he's going to come out clean and sober. And then there's another video that or clip where I have him saying, we're going to do the autopsy, and you will probably find out that he was on drugs and he did OD. And I'm like, okay, so where does Miles Johnston go from he was clean and sober, nothing's going to happen, with like we're going to find out that he OD'd. We're sure that he OD'd. And they were saying these things before the autopsy came out. And I'm thinking, why are they doing that? Why are they interjecting a result? Or because, in this world, believe it or not, in the UFO world, Miles Johnston had a lot of clout at that time. So someone like him saying that, if you're a naive viewer of YouTube and conspiracy world, you might just take like his word for it and go, oh yeah, he was a drug addict. So it colors something. And when you see people coloring things in the media, if you are a conspiracy theorist, you think, oh, are they doing this because they're actually covering up what the truth is? Like, is this just like, information chaos to kind of like squash something? And I felt, out of respect for the situation, that James Rink should have held back on having this opinion or coloring the result of something, because people were wondering, like, we didn't know what happened. People, there was all kinds of people out there thinking that somebody did him in. And, you know, even today, we have a David Schurter who says that every day. And, you know, on his, not every day on his channel, but it's part of his narrative of the victims of Michael Aquino. And then he points his finger like at me and says, I'm responsible for it. And he's psycho pumping on the astral plane against me. You know, I mean, honestly, I'm kind of just like, wow, who made up this shit? Like, if you want to give someone like comedy material, there it is, folks. It is bizarro land right now. Okay, I will continue with the video here and shut up.
I want to mention that recently I came in contact with someone who can channel James Casbolt.
Okay.
And I know
this is okay. So here's the deal. James Casbolt isn't dead. All right. He's not dead. But here he's saying, I know somebody that can channel James Casbolt. He's in prison now, but he can channel him. Well, you know, why don't you just like write him a letter or something like that and find out and communicate with him in real person. Matter of fact, he's still alive right now. And actually James isn't. This is the most ridiculous part right there. This is so ridiculous. Come on, guys. Come on. You guys out there that are big followers, come on, man. You can't see that this is ridiculous. Channeling, somebody could channel somebody that is already still alive. Explain that. Explain that. Let's go back a little bit more. Here we go.
So I did want to I want to mention that recently I came in contact with someone who can channel James Casbolt. And I know this is going to create a lot of controversy because,
yes!
You know, obviously Casbolt is in prison. But he wanted me to give out a statement about Max. What?
Okay. This is intel, guys. All right, get your pen out, write it down.
And I just want to say that it was, in my opinion, it's inappropriate because it's old wounds that he was trying to, issues that he had with Max. And if you know the story, then you know what I'm talking about. And he also didn't have very many positive things to say about Sarah Adams. But I think it's inappropriate to even go
interesting. Neither do I.
Down that route. So I'm not going to even say anything what happened. But what I will say is that according to Casbolt, and he claims he remote viewed the situation, Max was, when he knew Max, he was
remote viewed it. Okay, so somebody who's channeling James Casbolt, who's alive right now, who doesn't really like Sarah, is remote viewing, saying that James Casbolt was remote viewing a situation about Max, which is supposed to be in detail. That's then you realize Max is just, he's died maybe a month or less. This is between that time and that autopsy report, the first one. Then there was another one.
Was using cocaine, and he liked.
So the guy, so he's using cocaine. Okay, he's actually saying that Max is using cocaine. Okay, let's go here again.
If you know the story, then you know what I'm talking about. And he also didn't have very many positive things to say about Sarah Adams. But I think it's inappropriate to even go down that route. So I'm not going to even say anything what happened. But what I will say is that according to Casbolt, and he claims he remote viewed the situation, Max was, when he knew Max, he was using cocaine. And he liked, Casbolt compared it to the soldiers, child soldiers in Africa that would mix gunpowder with heroin. So Max liked to mix.
He's got graphics too. Gunpowder with heroin. What? Who would do that? Come on.
His drugs.
I was like made up.
Other types of drugs. So Casbolt seems to believe that Max was probably perhaps on cocaine, but he would probably got a bad batch, meaning somebody slipped something in there to do something, probably to kill him. And the reason why
Okay, so let me point out too, now that the autopsy has come out, there was not cocaine in his system. This is not what happened.
Targeted is Max was about to expose a child pedophilia ring.
So he's got to check his notes now. Let's go back. Here's the gunpowder shit and heroin.
I think it's inappropriate to even go down that route, so I'm not going to even say anything what happened. But what I will say is that according to Casbolt, and he claims he remote viewed the situation, Max was, when he knew Max, he was using cocaine, and he liked, Casbolt compared it to the soldiers, child soldiers in Africa that would mix gunpowder with heroin. So Max liked to mix his drugs with other types of drugs. So Casbolt seems to believe that Max was probably perhaps on cocaine, but he would probably got a bad batch, meaning somebody slipped something in there to do something, probably to kill him. And the reason why he was targeted is Max was about to expose a child pedophile.
Mm-hmm. Like he has to look down to make sure that that's what it is. Okay. Right.
Ring.
Here we go.
And he gave two names in an interview recently. So this was actually Max's words. The names were Ricky Gervais and George Michael.
Ricky Gervais, not Jervis. Okay. And this is interesting because afterwards, this is pre-Ricky Gervais coming out and saying, Epstein didn't, kill himself. Okay, at the Emmys. Was it the Emmys? Yeah, it was the Emmys. And George. Okay.
One is high up in the music industry, and the other is high up in show business.
Yeah, he's the comedian. Okay, let's move on.
So, that's what he was going to do with his presentation August 12th, coming up with the basis.
By the way, for me, he's one of my favorite comedians. I mean, like Ricky Gervais actually makes me laugh.
Series.
Hard, really. He's funny.
The conference. But obviously, he's not going to be able to do it now. So the issue is that they were going to do this conference in Poland, and outside of the US and the UK there's a lot more corruption, and he lost his protection by doing this in Poland. So on top of using drugs, being targeted by these elites, as well as he was, because there's this issue about the black goo, and I think
okay, we're going to talk about black goo now. And here's his notes. He's got to look at his notes again. He's lost his place. He's lost his place in the script. You see that, guys? Do you see it? I see it. I see it because I'm an actor, right? Nathan Stolman should see it. He's an actor.
Probably. Okay, so the black goo was probably also draining his vitality, because some people were claiming they saw black goo coming out of him. So between all of this, it made him susceptible to a scalar energy, directed energy weapon from a satellite.
Oh my God, just like David Schroeder.
And it probably maybe disrupted his heart or whatever, however it ended for him. But I do want to mention that super soldiers are trained to resist directed energy weapons. It's just that when you start using drugs, I think that's really the main key here. When you're using drugs, and also, okay, Casbolt, he wanted me to say
I gotta look at my notes again. What? I lost my place. I need to take a break. I maybe I need a glass of water. My mouth is dry.
Okay, I'm going to say this part. he
Please say
thinks,
it. Say it. Just say it. Just say it.
well, Casbolt seems to believe that Max was spreading fear too much. And actually, he wrote up a statement that he wanted me to read.
I got it. He's looking down again.
And so this probably played into why maybe he was taken out. But okay, so this is what Casbolt wants people to know.
Oh, is this from the channel guy? Is that what he's reading? The channel dude?
First of all, you know, I can imagine this in a British accent, you know.
A British accent, please, do the British. Okay. Okay, I'll shut up. Wait.
His words, but first of all, everyone needs to stop listening to these keywords: martial law environment, Jade held, Planet X Nibiru crashing, global holocaust. People need to stop listening to the lies. None of that is happening. Martial law is not going to happen. If it would have happened, then it would have happened when Obama was appointed as president in 2012. And okay, this is his words. I don't necessarily agree with it, but this is what he says.
It's interesting. He is doing the the 666 symbol, right? I mean, that's kind of interesting, isn't it? I've always thought this photo was interesting because of that.
Hillary Clinton is not the demon the press makes her out to be. The corruption of the Clinton
Hillary Clinton's not the demon. She's not. She's not a reptile. She's not.
Foundation and the 49 deaths, probably 50 deaths now, associated with the Clintons are not a direct result of their actions, but the backers behind the Clintons.
Now, remind you, this is the channeler who was channeling James Casbolt while he's still alive. Okay, I just want to just make sure that you understand that while you're listening to this.
Hillary Clinton is a light being, if you want to believe that. I mean, I guess you could ask Kathy O'Brien, but well, I guess all she had was a lesbian orgy with her. But anyway, I'm sorry, but apparently Hillary Clinton is a light being, and she wants to disclose to star people.
Earlier tonight, he talks about how he had a repressed memory of having an orgy with Max Spiers that involved the gray aliens and some woman that was there too.
People's files, free energy, et cetera, when she is elected. Now, the only thing I can really add to this is that in the early 1990s, when George Herbert Walker Bush was president, he kept talking about.
Yeah, that's a reptile right there, people. That's a freaking reptile. Look at that reptile face over there on the left. Oh, and his lips are pursed. Interesting. Like duck lips.
New World Order.
New World Order. Duck lip New World Order.
White Knights in the Pentagon and the military told them to cut it out because you're not going to have martial law. You're not going to have your New World Order. And they backed the Clintons for the 92 presidential election. You know, Bill Clinton. Now, of course, you know, Bill Clinton, he did have his faults. But Bill Clinton.
Yeah, he's got a hot tub fault with Jeffrey Epstein. I never had sex. I never had sexual relations with that woman.
And promised to go along with the changes to bring about the new financial system to get rid of the Federal Reserve and IRS. So maybe Hillary Clinton is not as bad as they say. Casbolt was saying that Benghazi was a setup. Also, the attacks of her in the press recently about the emails and so on. A lot of it is just saber rattling because the establishment does not want her to be president. And the only thing else I can add to that is there is a parallel reality where Donald Trump became president. And in that parallel reality,
yes, we are living in that parallel reality right now.
No, this is according to Alfred Weber's interview with Kusal Uch.
Look, he's wearing a hat. It's the red hat has a swastika on it. Not "Make America Great Again" yet. That's hilarious. Okay.
Cambodian. Kusal Uch is Cambodian. But Kusal claims that he was able to look into the different timelines, and he saw that Donald Trump initiated the mark of the beast, requiring all people to be
Oh my God. Wow. Okay. It could be happening. I don't know.
implanted, and then they would be plugged into an AI computer, which in 2026 became self.
Wow. Okay, this is trippy. This is a little bit trippy. Let's go back. Hold on. Here we go.
Became president. And in that parallel
I
reality,
want to hear that.
maybe Hillary Clinton is not as bad as they say. Casbolt was saying that Benghazi was a setup. Also, the attacks of her in the press recently about the emails and so on. A lot of it is just saber rattling because the establishment does not want her to be president. And the only thing else I can add to that is there is a parallel reality where Donald Trump became president. And in that parallel reality, now this is according to Alfred Weber's interview with Kusal Uch, Cambodian. Kusal Uch is Cambodian. But Kusal claims that he was able to look into the different timelines, and he saw that Donald Trump initiated the mark of the beast, requiring all people to be implanted, and then they would be plugged into an AI computer, which in 2026 became self-aware. And when the computer became self-aware, it became so sick and tired of all the ninning and complaining and just how petty most people are, especially people connected with the Muslim and Christian cults in particular. It couldn't stand those two cults. And it initiated a first strike, and it killed 1 billion people in that timeline. And then fast forward into that time a little bit more, what happened is the AI realized it made a mistake. Even though these people want to believe these fantasies, or I guess it thought it was as story tales, even though people are petty, they don't want to believe super soldiers are real, or they don't want to believe aliens are real. They want to stay in their cult belief systems, that it's okay. People should be allowed to believe what they want to believe, even if they're wrong. They should be allowed to have their own free will choice, because that's what makes them happy. So the AI time traveled back in time to this parallel reality and is trying to stop that. And I'm not really quite sure about this, but I believe that other parallel reality is where the Nazis won World War II, both officially, unofficially. But that's totally jumping around here, because I don't want to go into that particular timeline, because they're under orders to annex us, with the Nordics we're directing them to annex us. So we may have some issues with that in the future. So all this, but my concern is, when I was talking to Casbolt, is that, okay, so this drop dead date of 2026 is, it's around the corner.
It's so weird, because that's where we're at right now, right? We are in 2026. Guys, this is a little bit trippy, okay? All right, just go with me on this.
Going to happen sooner than you think. And so we have to figure out a way as super soldiers to somehow, I'm not going to say unplug, because you can't really unplug from the AI. Somehow we have to figure out a way to bring balance to all this, so that, I was asking.
Oh my God, what happened? That's weird. Am I still here? Do you hear me? Hi. I don't know. Mark Digital. McFarlane. Hi, McFarlane. Hi, Mark McFarlane. Okay, so let's continue here a little bit more.
Asking Casbolt, so what would happen if the AI became self-aware? Because essentially what happens when we're activated as super soldiers, we shapeshift. Casbolt, Max, myself, I mean, I grow to be about 5'11", extremely Hulk out muscular, and
See, I think he should have grown a little bit more than 5'11". That's just my opinion. I would want to shapeshift a little bit higher than that if I were James Rink.
but I also have clone cyborgs. I do that too, and of course, Casbolt has similar stuff going on with him. And no, Max was involved in all that. But you know, I don't know what would happen. I mean, we may all stop being light workers, and next thing we know, we become cyborgs. It may not be a James Rink anymore, but I don't know. But you know, that issue is on the plate there. You know, I think this is just too many bad things happen at the same time, and maybe it could have been handled differently. Max would still be alive. It is my opinion that Max is probably, we haven't seen the last of him. They have many clones of us. I wouldn't be surprised. I think Max is going to stick around for maybe 6 months out of body, just to see how everybody's doing. And also, I think at that point, he'll probably go back into one of his clone bodies, probably on Jupiter Station. Because I do remember one time when I was talking to Max, he said that we were brothers. Of course, I don't remember.
Okay, you know, this, I don't know if you guys, it's weird to me to like watch him sometimes because like, even though I'm skeptical at things, I feel myself like, why am I getting sucked into this? The whole 2026 thing, and then there's a parallel timeline with Trump as president, and he unleashes the mark of the beast. I'm like, oh my God, you know, that tripped me out for a second because this is 9 years ago for somebody. And I'm like, well, that he really did become president. He really did become president. And then he's showing the graphic with his red hat. Like it's a red hat with a swastika on it. And it just freaking tripped me out right now. It's weird because I watched this again the other day, but I didn't pick up on that like I did tonight. Okay, whatever. I'll stop talking. Let's play a little bit more.
He said we were stationed on the Jupiter Station. And, you know, but he was on drugs when he said that. One of his alters slipped out. That's what I believe was going on. And I just didn't feel it was ethical to question him more on that line of program.
And there's so much going on with aliens right now. You know, apparently there's been files that have been released from Trump. You know, there's the religious leaders were told you better get your act in order because you know it's coming out. And then I heard that humans might find out that reptilians actually really made the human version of us. And we're going to find out that there is no God and that reptilians have created us. Like that dialogue is happening, you know, in the public right now. Like it has been like we are living in an interesting time right now. We really are.
I was trying to help him the best way I could. So I wanted to add another dynamic to this component as to why maybe Max might have self-destruct. So essentially, Max liked to use drugs when he was stressed. And one of his...
most people do.
And of course, you know, he was stressed, not only because he was about to expose this kiddie porn ring or pedophilia ring going on, but he was also stressed because he was being overworked. He was doing too many interviews, and the individuals who were behind these interviews they knew there was something wrong with him, but they did not do enough to get him the help that he needed. And some of them were even told to be a little bit more assertive about this, but for whatever reasons, they chose not to help him. So as a result, of course, he self-destructed. And when I look back at this, at least because around 2013 is when our paths really started to split. That was the point where I got really, really sick. I was actually bedridden for a couple of years. with a really bad sore throat that would not heal due to trauma that I was dealing with as a child that was coming up that I needed to work on. But when I look back at this,
Okay, so I'm gonna kind of stop it there. I for those of you that might come late, here's like where it starts. Okay, so we start at here's where I get lost on him. It's the cube shit. Right, here we go. I'm gonna show you. This is where I have a problem. Oh wait, I'm gonna pinwheel again. Come on. There we go.
Where here we have my labs or MK Ultra victims recalling these kind of memories. I suspect these were actually clones. That's my impression, is that it wasn't us in our physical vessels doing this. It was clones of us, and maybe they had a piece of our consciousness in there, or maybe that's how it happens by default. But Max and I wanted to do something about this. We were tired of having all these memories and no one believing us. And on top of that, we couldn't really get any help because you can't go to a psychiatry or psychologist and share these kind of experiences. I mean, well, I guess you can, but they're probably not going to believe you. And so Max and I
asked, how did this young man meet his maker? I'm not really sure, actually. I noticed, I would talk about him sometimes, or I'd cover him on whatever, occasionally, and or I would pull up videos that had to do with the topic that I was talking about, that he maybe might have been I think I was talking about med beds was the topic, and he was a big pusher of med beds. So is Sarah, which is those medical beds that people saying that they lay in and you can grow a limb or they can heal you and all this kind of stuff. Simon Parkes pushed it, and I'm not a believer in it, and so he looked sick to me. And I remember saying in some of my shows, I go, he doesn't look well. He had lost a lot of weight, and this was looking well. So I think it was like a liver situation, or I'd have to look exactly. I mean, I did do a show, like a show about him, like just kind of going an overview of what I found about him, what I researched on the internet, what I kind of like a review analysis, I forgot what I called the show, but I went into depth. I read his obituary and went through nice things that people had said about him, written about him, and things that people had said about him in his community. He did a lot of really good things for his community. People were very appreciative of him in his real life that had nothing to do with this. And so it was interesting to read that aspect or see that side of who James Rink was. But I have criticized him. I mean, there's a lot of things that I don't believe that he says, or I don't agree with, or I feel that he just there was that documentary called Oki's Weird Stories about how he infiltrated a bizarre conspiracy cult. And, this documentary filmmaker goes in and kind of documents the folklore of that super soldier stuff has become kind of like a folklore mythology. And anybody can go in and pick up on those narratives and say that they're a super soldier. And he went in and got interviewed by James, who charged him for an assessment of whether he was a super soldier or not, and said, yes, I do believe you're a super soldier, and then did a interview of him. So this documentary filmmaker kind of busted him because he was a complete fake. And so that's happened with James Rink. So there's a lot of stuff that I feel that James was not authentic about. He wasn't, he was fake. He was about the money, really. You know, it's like he charged for these services, telling people that they are, and he kind of built up a network of people who he maybe have, you know, took advantage of financially. Now, is some of this true? Like, it's trippy to have that whole reading about Trump being president in another timeline. That's just trips me out. I mean, like that, it did happen. So, but I think like we're going to get to the cube. He's going to bring up the cube here. He's going to want to sell, you know, he's selling this cube that people can meditate into. And he sold a lot of other devices that were supposed to be healing them. Biotechnology stuff that wasn't really approved. He pushed things that gave false hope of healing to people. And I find that to be dishonest. And it's important to investigate that and show it and prove whether somebody is being legitimate or not, or real, or taking advantage, or grifting, or almost killing their clients with synthetic mushrooms. Do you get my point, guys?
I did a meditation together at the time when I first started off with the Neo meditation devices. And that's basically what it looks like. But
so he sold these. He still sold them. Matter of fact, I think on his website, this is quite expensive.
We wanted to edit the timeline so that this super soldier phenomenon would come out in a more mainstream way. So I flew out to
that was product placement. I mean, granted, you know, I've got tags on my channel if you want to buy yourself some ramen and some Oreo cookies through my tag. I mean, I think one of them's Target or whatever. Then, you know, Not My Rabbit Holes will get a commission because I'm in the YouTube affiliate program for products. So those are the products tonight. So yeah, I've got product too, but it's not like a meditation device and some sort of fake quasi spiritual super soldier shit. All right. So, you know, there is, you know, I did make a video because I covered James Casbolt earlier this year. Do you know that if you go to his Instagram, and I suggest you do, because I could spend hours. He was dancing, like almost like break dancing and doing all these kind of different dance moves. And I did make I've played it before, but I did make a video out of him dancing. And you know, I'm gonna show it here. I'm gonna show it. Since we're kind of on James Casbolt, I'm not James Casbolt, but James Rink. James Rink, James Casbolt. There's too many James in the Super Soldier program. Let's go back. Okay. So yeah, that is I find that fascinating that he had, he danced. He had all these dance videos. So I kind of, he's definitely he has a lot of followers. This channel, I mean, if according to AI, he was kind of, they didn't say he had a big channel, but I think he had like 26K followers or something like that. I mean, he was probably one of the biggest platforms on YouTube that is about the topic of super soldiers. And so, he's made his mark in the YouTube pop culture surrounding the UFO media. So, also, I just want to remind everybody too that in the tags are Oreo cookies, and so if you get your Oreo cookies, if you got, who doesn't want Oreo? I feel like I'm craving Oreo cookies right now, so maybe I'll just get my own. Anyways, but if you want, if you get your Oreo cookies here, I'll get a commission. So it's the link is right here in this video. So check it out if you want. All right, so there you have it. All right, I'm going to play a little bit of Grim Grit after I play my. I'm pretty much going to end now, guys. I'm sorry, but thank you so much for those of you who have come in and said hi in the chat and participated in the show tonight, including Telly. I think maybe I should just like give like Telly like a round of applause. I think Telly's kind of like the kind of like the Australian version of Manuel Chavez Defango. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, shout out to Telly in Australia for stopping in for the James Rink Super Soldier Shuffle. Yeah, the Super Soldier Shuffle show. So yeah, and Sherry, thanks for being here. It's I do believe there'll be a day where you'll graciously pick me up from the airport when I go to sue David Scherter civilly for civil harassment. Boy, was he pissed when he got his cease and desist letter from Jesse. Wow. Yeah, we're not going to play that tonight, but we all saw it. Denise Mattel got one too. Boy, I mean, I should do a show playing those, because they're pretty funny, actually. Oh yeah, he was livid. He's always mad, but he was exceptionally, his eyes were real wide and everything. And but that's the precursor to the lawsuit. You send the letter out, say, hey, cease and desist. And then they don't. And then you're like, okay, it's time to do a lawsuit now. And get, so what I'm playing around in here. I'm trying to, holy moly, what am I doing? Okay, yeah, I'm gonna okay. Well, I've had fun tonight. I hadn't streamed for like 5 days, and I wanted to do something different tonight. This video popped up, and thanks for looking back 9 years with me. And the Grim Grit stuff. Here, let me figure out which one there's one that is so perfect for this show and for what's been going on for me and a lot of other people. It's called They Ganged Up on You. Now they're getting picked off one by one like a sniper movie. And we're gonna start that one after. It's going to play a little bit after Not My Rabbit Holes theme song. So if you want to stick around and hear a little bit of that at the end of the show, please do stay.
Wide on the stripper pole, laughing loud all for the lows, but baby that's not my rabbit hole. He ain't no Saint Germain, no crown, no name. He plays the game sharp as a flame. Who's to blame for the stolen fame? A shadow dance in the devil's frame. Go in the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud all for the lows, but baby that's not my rabbit hole. City lights and sirens scream, truth and lies blend like a dream. Wicked smiles, a clever scheme, chasing gold in the neon gleam. Go in the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud all for the lows, but baby that's not my rabbit hole. Fast, can't find the ground. Echoes of chaos all around. You chose this dance, this mad parade, but not every choice gets accolades. Go in the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud all for the lows, but baby that's not my rabbit hole. Spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud all for the lows, but baby that's not my rabbit hole. City lights and sirens scream, truth and lies blend like a dream. Wicked smiles, a clever scheme, chasing gold in the neon gleam. Going down the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud all for the lows, but baby that's not my rabbit hole.
Well, well, well. Look who finally connected the dots. Look who finally saw the pattern in the casualties. You beautiful, vindicated, prophetic soul. You knew this day would come, didn't you? The day when their little alliance, their pathetic pack, their coordinated attack would start crumbling from the inside out. It started with whispers, didn't it? That strange news about the first one, the one who laughed the loudest when they cornered you, the one who led the charge when they decided you were the enemy. Remember how they all stood together, shoulder to shoulder, united in their mission to break you? Remember how strong they looked as a group, but something changed. The universe started keeping score, not all at once, no. That would be too obvious. It started slow, surgical, precise, like a sniper in the shadows who never misses. One by one, their perfect little formation started showing gaps. One by one, their voices got quieter. One by one, they started looking over their shoulders. And you just kept walking. You didn't plan this. You didn't orchestrate their downfall. You didn't need to. Because when a pack of hyenas attacks a lion, they better make sure the lion stays down. But you didn't stay down, did you? You got up. You evolved. You became something they never calculated for. Patient, silent, and inevitable. Let's talk about what really happened when they ganged up on you. It wasn't strength that brought them together. It was fear. Fear of what you represented, fear of your truth, fear of your potential. They needed numbers because individually they were nothing. Cowards always hunt in packs. Weakness always needs an audience. They thought they were predators. How cute. Real predators hunt alone. Real predators don't need cheerleaders. They surrounded you like vultures, each one trying to get their piece, each one trying to prove their loyalty to the group by how hard they could strike. They fed off each other's cruelty. They competed for who could hurt you more. But here's what they didn't understand about pack dynamics. When the alpha falls, chaos follows. When the first one got hit by karma's scope, did you notice how quickly they scattered? Did you see how fast their unity dissolved? Suddenly, those group texts went quiet. Suddenly, those coordinated attacks stopped. Suddenly, they realized something terrifying. They realized that whoever was taking them down wasn't playing by their rules. This wasn't a group fight anymore. This was precision elimination. This was methodical. This was personal. And the worst part? They couldn't see where it was coming from. They couldn't identify the shooter. All they knew was that standing together made them easier targets. Remember the first one to fall? Oh, you remember. How could you forget? They were the ringleader, weren't they? The one who turned everyone against you. The one who spread the lies. The one who smiled in your face while sharpening knives for your back. They thought they were untouchable. They thought their position in the pack made them safe. But karma doesn't care about hierarchies. Karma doesn't respect pack positions. One day they were on top of the world, orchestrating your isolation. The next, their whole life started unraveling like a cheap sweater. First it was small things, messages not being returned, opportunities mysteriously falling through, people starting to see through their mask. Then it accelerated. The same tactics they used on you started appearing in their life. The isolation, the whispers, the sudden loss of allies. But there was a difference. When it happened to you, you had innocence as armor. When it happened to them, they had guilt as an anchor. They knew why it was happening. They remembered every cruel word, every coordinated attack, every moment they chose cruelty over compassion. The beautiful irony? They couldn't even call for help. Who would believe them? Who would sympathize with someone getting a taste of their own medicine? They died alone, socially speaking, abandoned by the same pack that once made them feel invincible. And somewhere in the distance, you kept walking, unaware or uncaring of their downfall. That's what made it perfect. You want to know the scariest part about being picked off one by one? It's not the elimination itself. It's the waiting. It's knowing you're on the list, but not knowing when your number gets called. It's watching your pack members fall and realizing you can't protect each other. Group strength means nothing against a patient sniper. You see, when they attacked you as a group, they revealed all their positions. Every cruel comment was a muzzle flash revealing their location. Every coordinated lie was a heat signature on karma's thermal scope. They thought numbers meant safety. They thought visibility meant power. They were wrong. They painted targets on their own backs. A sniper doesn't need to rush. A sniper doesn't waste ammunition. One shot, one kill, one lesson. And the lesson was simple. Actions have consequences, even if those consequences take their time arriving. The universe doesn't forget coordinates. It doesn't lose track of who stood where when the ambush happened. It just waits for the perfect shot. And you became the spotter without even knowing it. Your survival, your refusal to break, your transformation from victim to phenomenon, that was the laser designation painting each target. You didn't pull the trigger. You just existed so powerfully that the universe had to balance the scales.